Hello, SAUS scholars. Good to be back with you again. Now, if you see this current position on the chessboard and it looks familiar, you're going to say, well, Mr. Vancepool, I remember we kind of discussed this in class in the second grade, but this video is for first, second, and even if you have some kindergartners at home, I think they will be able to handle this eventually as well as we begin to finish learning the pieces and begin to identify what is check versus what is checkmate. First and second grade definitely understands what check is. Check is when the king is in danger, okay? But he can do capture, protect, or run away. Checkmate is when the king is in danger, but he cannot do capture, protect, or run away, okay? So this is the ideal position we want to achieve in the queen and king versus king checkmate, queen and king versus king checkmate. And I'm just going to quickly go through a few more ideal positions. Notice in each of these positions, the king is on either the edge or the rim or the side files or the back ranks of the chessboard. One of these four lines here, either the first rank, the eighth rank, the A file, or the H file. So our goal is to get this king to the edge, preferably the corners, to even be more specific. Okay, but if we can get him to the edge, we can create that king and queen checkmate just the same. So again, the king is at the edge of the board. I'm just showing you that my king can be in a few different places to create that checkmate. Okay, and we see here on the first rank, and my king is supporting the queen in each checkmate. And each one is kind of like a right triangle or a triangle that I would like to create, okay? Even if my queen is not so close, my queen is controlling the entire first rank. And kings have smelly breath. They can never touch, right? So I can never run away from this check either. Same thing here. Kings have smelly breath, right? They never want to touch. They never want to be a square apart. Or they want to be one square in between, but they never want to be next to each other. Then we have this queen controlling this entire A file. So my king can never, ever run away. And then these are the diagonal checkmates, right? So preferably we want our king in the corner. I'm going to show you how to do it in the corner today, okay? And the queen is diagonal from the corner. As long as your queen is diagonally pointing to the corner and it has some support from the king, so the king can also be here on G6, the king can also be here on F7, the king can even be here on F8, right? As long as or even here H6, as long as we have some support from our king protecting the queen from being captured by the king, alrighty, we're always going to make a checkmate as long as you point to one of those four corners. And here it is in another corner. And here it is in one more corner, okay? So again, the ideal placement for your queen, you want to make sure your queen is pointing towards that corner, right? You can see it in all different colors here. If I'm green, I want to be on B2. If I'm blue, I want to be on G2. If I'm red, I want my queen on G7. And if I'm yellow, I want my queen on B7, creating those checkmates, depending on the color, right? I need a black queen here, a black queen here, a white queen on B2, a white queen on G7, alrighty? Now, one more thing we need to discuss before I show you how to do the king and queen checkmate is a knight's distance, okay? Now, knight's distance doesn't mean my queen gets to move like a knight, right? I'm not gonna move my queen to B3 on the next turn. It means wherever the king is, I wanna count 1, 2, turn. 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 1, 2, turn, 1, 2, turn, and 1, 2, turn. I want my queen on one of these optimal squares that are a knight's distance away from the king. If I can get to any of these 8 squares on my next turn legally, then I know I'm in a good position to do the king and queen checkmate. So right now, take a few seconds. You can pause the video if you need to. Where can I move my queen on A1 so that it is on one of these 8 squares so I can be a knight's distance away from this black king? Alrighty, if you chose the square B4, not quite. Remember, our queens don't move like this on one turn. I don't know what direction you would call this. We don't move that way on our next turn. Okay, same as B6, same as C7, same as these squares that I am highlighting now. On my next turn, I can only get to these 2 yellow squares, right? I can only get to C3 and I can only get to f6. So if I highlight c3 and f6, I know my queen can move to these squares diagonally on the next turn. And if I do 1-2 turn, and I do 1-2 turn, it's going to meet me back with the king. So the second thing I like to do is kind of divide my board up, right? Mentally. And I like to think, if this is halfway through the chessboard, what side of the board is the king on? So my king is on the queen side, and it's probably closest to this corner. So my job is probably to get this king to go to this corner, or at least stay on this side of the board. So if I can force the king to one of these two corners, I'm in good shape. So I'm going to choose this square, queen f6, so I can force the king to move down. And then the game is really, really simple. All you're going to do is play Simon Says. For example, Simon says, put your hands on your head. Simon says, put your hand on your nose. Put your finger on your nose. Simon says, roll your eyes all around. And Simon says, bring it back to the computer screen. So if Simon says, you're going to do the same thing and you're going to repeat. So if my king moves one square over to the left, where do you think we should put our queen? Yes, I agree, one square to the left. And if you do a check to make sure you're right, you will still be a knight's square away, okay? You'll still be a knight square away. So now the king moves over again. Let's go diagonally backwards. I'm going to go diagonally backwards. Notice, I should never be putting the king in check. I should be cutting off the king's squares by staying a knight square away. I'm going to go diagonally down right. And then the queen's going to repeat. Now, when the king touches the corner, one of these four corners, those fireworks should go off in your head. Okay, you should be telling yourself, okay, my queen is in the perfect spot. It is giving the king two squares to ping pong off of. Ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. So this king is going to go back and forth while we call some reinforcements. Hey king, I need some help. Come on over and help out with this checkmate. So now my white king is going to begin to come into the game square by square because my king cannot continue to move over. The queen is building a fortress and the king cannot come up to the second rank or to the C file, okay? Cannot. So I have to keep moving over to these squares. As my king comes over, and then I like to do, as long as my king is two squares diagonal from the corner, I know my king is also set up for success and ready to assist in this king and queen checkmate. Once my king moves over, there's one move to ensure that it is checkmate in this position. Yes, you remembered what I said. As long as your queen is diagonal from the corner, it will be automatic checkmate. Can someone tell me what square you would go to get a checkmate in this position? Yeah, I agree.
Check.
Diagonal from the corner. And you finally heard my assistant teacher say,
check.
Check. Okay, so now that we have check, the queen is checking the king. Let's go through CPR. I cannot capture this queen because kings have smelly breath and the kings would touch. My king is protecting the queen. So right now we cannot capture the queen, okay? I cannot block. This line is just too tiny to block. I can't block this check. And if I try to run away to any square on the number 2, my king has stinky breath, as well as my queen controls these escape squares. And if I try to go to any square with the number 1 associated with it, I cannot because the queen is also controlling those squares diagonally. So when I cannot capture, protect, or run away, it is called, you got it, it is called checkmate. Alrighty. So let's try this again, and we'll do one more together before I send you off to practice on your own. Remember, we want to get a knight square away at all times. How many different ways can this queen get a L shape, a knight square away from the black king? Well, if you said the number 2, you are absolutely correct. I can move my queen up to F2, and now 1, 2, turn, I'm an L shape away from the black king. And if you said the move, queen F6, that is also correct. 1, 2, turn, I am an L shape away from the king. So wherever my king is also matters. So I don't want to drive the king. I would like to drive the king towards this corner. It seems like a quickest corner. Um, but if it's going to confuse you to get your king close to this king and possibly mess it up, that's fine as well. You can just force the king to any corner that you see fit by getting a knight square away. So let's use queen f2. Simon says I move one square backwards. You need to do, or forward. You need to do the same. Simon says I move one square backwards. You need to do the same. And if you do a check, you'll always keep your L shape. Notice you never say check until the last move. Diagonally forward, diagonally backwards. Simon says.
Check.
Oops, that was a mistake. That's how you get your king, queen captured. So we want to avoid that. So let's try that again. Diagonally down, diagonally down. Up one, up one, up one, up one. Diagonally down one, diagonally down one. Oh, what did you notice? Yeah, the king touched the corner. And what should you do when the king touches the corner? Yes, bring the helper piece. Come on, king, come on over. I need your help in this checkmate. And as this king ping-pongs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, my king is 2 squares diagonally from the corner. So I know my king is in position and my king is ready. And as I go to that last square, as long as I'm diagonal from the corner,
check,
you will always have a checkmate. I cannot capture because the kings will have smelly breath. I cannot move to anywhere on the B file because the kings will have smelly breath. And the queen also controls these two B8 and B6 squares. And if I try to stay anywhere on the letter A, my queen will control the king diagonally. When I can't capture, protect, or run away, it is called, you got it, friend, checkmate. What I have for you here and what you'll find linked is some practice positions where you can make the moves. Black will make a move automatically with the computer, and you can try to get the king into the corner and do a king and queen checkmate all by yourself.
Check.
Checkmate. Amazing job, guys. I'll see you soon. Excellent job spending time with you. Bye.